So today we're going to use feathers, whether it's a full feather or maybe leftover trimmings from feathers, to make a beautiful feather bracelet or wrist piece, whatever you want to call it. But waste not, want not, and I've got a feather that we're not going to waste. So now that we've made that beautiful feather headdress, we have a lot of feather trimmings, and we might even have leftover feathers. And waste not, want not. So today we're going to take those feathers and we're going to make some beautiful accessories with them, with our help from John Bead. For this project, we're going to be using ostrich feathers. Whether it's a full feather or cut-offs from other things we've done, we don't waste ostrich feathers. Some E6000 glue, one of our bracelet bases here from John Bead, some trim of your choice. I happen to love this one and it matches an outfit I already have, but any kind of rhinestone trim you'd like, a little bit of parchment paper, and a popsicle stick. For today's project, we're going to use the E6000 with the fine applicator tip. It's really going to be best for this job. Although a little bit of squeeze out won't be a problem with this, what's more important is that we can be very precise with where the glue is going. That's what's most important for this project. This is the type of E6000 applicator we're going to be using today. As you can see, it has a very fine applicator tip, so you can control exactly where the glue is going in a very fine way. As you can see, we're already getting a little bit of squeeze out, and I haven't even squeezed the tube yet. However, we can be very accurate with where that glue is going, and that's going to be most important for today's project. We're going to be giving some feathers some haircuts today, and we're going to be using that hair. So the first thing we're going to do is take our piece of parchment paper and crumple it up. You want to do this because the parchment paper, as it comes off the roll, will definitely want to stay curly, and this will help it stay flat. If you bake a lot, this works too, but we're feathering today. The next step is to take our E6000 and make a couple of dots along the parchment paper. Now, we talked earlier about squeeze out. Only squeeze what you think is going to be enough to make one or two decent sized drops. Only pea size, no bigger. You'll find you'll probably end up making 4 drops with what you think you need for one. This is how it's going to happen. So just a little pressure and you'll get pea sized drops. 2. And with what I thought was enough pressure for 2, here comes number 3. And here comes number 4. And here comes number 5. I've not applied any pressure, but I'm going to quickly get that cap back on because there's still squeeze out happening. There's still more trying to come out. So if you seal it back up, you'll be fine. The other great thing with E6000 is you get a lot of work time from it. I could probably leave that there for 5 minutes and come back and it's still going to be tacky. I don't suggest you try that, but it would work. The next thing we're going to do is give our feathers a little haircut. So this was an offcut from a project that I had done earlier where I made an ostrich feather headdress. And I'm not going to waste these feathers. What you're going to do is take your middle finger and your pointer finger, nip some of the feathers and pull it forward, just like you were having a haircut. Then, with a good pair of scissors, cut off those fronds. You're going to have some fallout. That just happens. Tightly tie these together with your fingers. Get them all bunched up very closely. And if any fall out, chances are they were too small for this project anyway. Once you have them neatly tucked up here, we're going to trim this so that it's even at the tip. We have a beautiful even top. And then we're going to put that down in our dab V6000. I'm going to use a popsicle stick to help to press it down. Sometimes these very light feathers will want to stick to your fingers. And I'm going to use that popsicle stick to truly coat that in glue. Make sure that we've got great coverage with our E6000 just at the very tip of this little tuft of feathers. If you're using a whole feather, Don't forget to make sure that all of your feathers are going in the same direction so that when you pull forward, you have a nice, clean, even pull, and then just trim your feathers from it. The longest and most luxurious feathers will always come from the body of a feather, usually around the middle. We've got that connected together. We're going to trim this so that they're all equal on the edges. And once again, we're going to use our popsicle stick to get that beautifully covered with glue. If you find that you didn't have enough glue down on your very first dot, you can always come back in later with a little bit more of that E6000. Using the fine applicator tip, you are able to just very, very delicately dab on the top of these. You wouldn't have been able to do this with the other size of E6000, which again, the squeeze out is less of a problem here and it's more about the accuracy. I'm going to do a few more of these and then I'm going to show you exactly what we do with these to turn them into a beautiful wrist piece. So while our feathers are drying, it might take about 30 minutes to an hour for them to get really dry enough to use. You want to think about what you're going to use as a base for your bracelet. I'm using this component from John Bead. I really like it because it's flexible. You can make it as big or as narrow as you need it. Being made out of a strong, flexible metal, it makes it perfect for crafts like this. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing in the next step on this guide, because it can get a little hard to see. But we're going to take our E6000 and we're going to make small dots all along the inside of the bracelet. Don't forget, go a little lighter with the E6000 than you think you're going to need. You're still going to get squeeze out. The less glue there is in the container, the less squeeze out you usually get, but it's still easier to be safe than sorry. After you've made little dots all throughout the inside, we're going to take those beautiful feather tufts that we made, peel them off the parchment paper, and then stick them onto the dots. Let me show you what it looks like when I've actually got it done. This is what it looks like when I already have it completed. As you can see, all of the little dots of E6000 I put on the inside had our beautiful feather tufts attached to them. Now for some of these, I did have to wait a minute or two for it to get tacky before I could move on to the next ones, but after a half an hour, they were dry enough still to use. As you can see, I used about 15 to 20 of those little tufts here. And really that only worked out to be less than one full feather, or however many you may have left over from a project. After we had all of the feathering done, I then decided the outside needed to be just as glamorous as the feathers. So I put a little sparkle in our life. To do this, I used this. This is another one of our amazing rhinestone chains here at John Bead. So with this chain, we have beautiful little individual maquettes of rhinestones surrounded by rhinestones. All I did was simply trim this to the length of the bracelet and then use the E6000 to attach. Once again, the E6000 does take a little time to dry, so I definitely used the help of a few clips to keep this and I let it sit overnight. Just to give you a better idea, I took the applicator tip and went right along both bands after measuring out approximately how much of the chain I would need. After I did it, I actually realized there wasn't anything on either end, so I trimmed off 2 of those little individual stones and then glued them to the ends, just to make sure it looked finished. You never want to let something on the ends look like you've forgotten about it, or like you didn't cut off enough. There's always some kind of way that you can attach something to the end to make sure you've got a beautiful level of finish. It takes something from looking like an arts and craft project to making it look like something truly beautiful, your own art. And this is the final result. Whether you're wearing it as part of a costume, for a night out, whether it's something you just wanted to make or something you needed to have, it's absolutely beautiful, worn either way. They definitely add some beautiful movement and texture to any outfit, any costume, and a little bit of glamour.